there's multiple ways to keep your promises to your listener. And it's going to help you to be able to keep more listeners, make more money if your business is attached to your podcast as well, which hopefully it is. I think that's the best way to do it. You're going to be able to be proving to your listener that you keep your promises along the way. And this came up because I was giving some feedback to one of my podcasters that is a client of ours that we are serving. He's been with us for about 7 or 8 months now. And he wanted me to listen to some of his episodes and teach him what he's doing wrong, because he's not getting enough. He's getting tons of traction, but he's not getting enough money coming into his bank account from his podcast. And I said, that's crazy. You should be getting more. Let me listen to a few episodes and give you some feedback. So I have just been doing that. And one of the promises that he did keep, so he has pros and he has cons. And one of the promises that he did keep, which I loved and gave him feedback on, is he was talking to his guest. And so he had a guest, he was doing an interview, and he's got all of his listeners listening. And he says to his guest, hey, we're going to get to that in a minute. I want to talk more about that thing in a couple minutes. But first, can I ask you this? And I thought it was great for him because he had a few follow-up questions. He did go into that. He did delve deep. He did, have some really good information. But my favorite thing is that unlike maybe you, unlike a lot of other podcasters, instead of completely forgetting, I think he wrote it down. I think he wrote down that he was going to get back to the word control. He said, hey, in a little bit, we're going to be talking about control. But first, I want to ask you this. And so he derails the conversation, but not in a bad way. He gets off of topic. He uses his secondary topic, and then he brings it back. So he said, so let's go into the control. He may have said, let's go into the control that we talked about before. Or, you know what, John, let's just pretend his guest is John. You know what, John, I mentioned to the listener, we were going to get back to control, and I want to jump into there right now. And then he would bring in and start talking about control, or he'd go back and talk about whatever it was that he made that promise.